legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting greedy.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from Georgia carry that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Saturday night special request here on Small Town Underground. So I'm just getting everything set up. I don't think that we'll be on for too long this evening. Had a great show, excuse me, last night with Jerry Paris. If you haven't got to check that out, you should check it out. We shared a lot of good stuff, current events going on in this crazy clown show happening on Flight 2025. So tonight, this has been a request from several people, so I'm going to break it down really quickly. So over the holidays, saw a couple very strange occurrences in the sky. Now, a lot of people have been keeping up with all of the news about drones and drone activity in the sky, and we've some of us tinfoil hats have looked into the Operation Blue Beam, Operation Blue Book. The UFO craze is coming back into the American atmosphere. And mind you, last year, 2024, we had the balloon incident, the Chinese balloon flying over America for 6 days. So all kinds of crazy things up in our skies. And primarily, the information that we've been following has been around heavily in New Jersey, airports around that area, New York, East Coast, and then all of a sudden we find out that the terror attack in Las Vegas at Trump Towers might actually be tied into all this. So this is just crazy. I'm at a loss for words. I'm still processing it in my head. I've had so many people that have reached out to me and sent me the Sean Ryan video, and I did watch it in its entirety. And the revelations there are just insane. How all of this is leading back to drones and drone activity and possibility. So, mind you, there's 2 videos we're going to cover tonight. That one was caught by my security camera system, which will be explained, and the other one I'll have a special guest by the name of Matt that is going to join me via telephone to help me break down the second video. And this is happening because so many people reached out to me about this and said, are you going to do a show about this? And honestly, I wasn't planning on it. And full disclosure, I didn't want anything to do with any of this stuff. Wasn't looking for it. Wasn't looking up in the sky. Numerous people reached out to me in the last month and said, you're the first person I thought of. I've seen something in the sky. And so I decided to video some of this stuff. And I'm not here. I'm not an expert. And I'm not saying, I can say pretty darn certain that these are not aliens, that what we've seen, but I don't know what to make of it. So, I've told people the same thing. You tell me what you see. You tell me if you're seeing the same thing. I've not had one person question the validity of the videos. And I hesitated to even do this after so many people requested to do the show. However, after watching the Sean Ryan video last night and realizing that something is connected, there's some sort of message out there that we need to at least put in the forefront of our minds about drones. So it's crazy, so bear with me. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm getting ready to get set up here for Matt to join me via telephone. But what we're going to do is I'm going to break down the first video really quick for y'all, because this was something that can easily be explained, but it was phenomenal to see. And this was, I'm about to pull it up here for you, but this was back on, let's see, in December. These were like back to back, y'all. This was what was freaky about all this. So this was on December the 21st, all right? And I'm about to pull this up here so you guys can see it. We're going to go through it together. And bam. So let me make this just a little bit wider here. So what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to the top corner of the screen. Right above this is the security camera system. And I'm going to show you another video of what we actually saw. Can I not pull that up? Hang on. Let me make it bigger. Let's see. Is that big enough? Let me see if I can pull this up here. Here we go. So I want you to pay attention to the top left corner of the screen. And I can explain this. And this freaked me out a little bit too. We were coming back home from... why is it doing that? We were coming back home from Chattanooga. As if you can see in the top left-hand screen, this blip going over. I might need to make it bigger. Now, all of us are scrambling, trying to get out of the vehicle. And there's this huge, it literally looked like a plane on fire. That's exactly what it looked like, a plane on fire, just going straight through the sky. Now that's heading due north from where we're at. And I go back to the vehicle trying to figure out what in the crap is going on. And I try to get my phone, and I'm trying, and you can see me holding my phone up. And of course, as soon as I get my phone out, it disappears. So I'm going to make sure that everybody can see that very well. But again, top left corner of the screen. I'm going to play it one more time. So it should be playing now. Is that playing? I don't know if that's playing or not. It should be. Anyway, here we go. So if you're looking at the top left-hand corner of the screen, I hope that's going through. Anyway, I think it's going through, but you can see this huge, it looked like a meteor. Now, my wife and I, we do a lot of sky watching at the house. My family, we deal in constellations. I have the Sky Map app. Never seen anything like that in my life before. It was absolutely crazy to watch this happen. And it literally looked like a plane was on fire. Okay, now I'd already gotten a couple calls from a couple friends in the area, in my county, my area, that had told me about some strange occurrences in the sky. And I didn't see any of those things, but this we saw with our own eyes. It was absolutely crazy. So, and I don't know what is going on here, but I'm hoping that is actually showing, because it looked like it was showing from my end, but I'm going to double check that. So I'm going to bring up this other video real quick. This is what we actually saw in the sky. So as you can see, that video should be going through. That is exactly what it looked like in the sky from that. And that was taken down somewhere next to Mobile, Alabama. So this was obviously out in the ether by everybody. But if you saw the video that from my security footage, you'll see this is what we were seeing. And it was absolutely incredible to see something like that. We really thought that was a plane that was crashing or something. And the funny thing is we've introduced our children to the old TV show Lost, which is all about a plane crash on an island. So like it was fresh in our minds, like I had no idea what was going on. So upon further investigation, we decided to look up and find out if this was a meteor or whatever. And sure enough, there were supposed to be 2 meteors that had, I guess, one earlier that day and the other one was later on that evening that was coming through the sky. And so we were just sure this was some sort of asteroid or something, right? Just like that. Well, going into the next day, and I'm trying to see, let me pull up the comments here because this is what it ended up being. And this was per James Spann. A lot of people follow James Spann, which was wild to me. And I think it's been confirmed now, but I'll just read the message that we got the next day. Per James Spann.
Not too long ago, I took my mom out to lunch.
Hold on.
Now, before I go on with this joke, just know that my mom...
I don't know what that came from, but anyway. So here we go. Let me pull this up again. So here's the comment that my wife sent me. Per James Spann, many saw this shortly after 10 p.m. last night, which was right around the time. Reliable reports indicate this was either a Starlink 3288 re-entering the Earth's atmosphere and burning up, or a disintegrating commercial imaging satellite, Gale Jing 101, operated by Beijing-based Spaceview. We'll know for sure later on in the morning. Video from there's people in Tuscaloosa that got it. And then note, this is not the same event as the one I posted earlier happening at 5:30. So there was some sort of an asteroid that came through. But this was actually, upon further investigation, a Chinese satellite that was coming back into orbit and was literally burning up in the sky. So, I mean, you guys know me. This was some weird stuff going on. I've never in my entire life, I've seen shooting stars. I have seen comets that have dashed across the sky. I've never seen anything like that ever. And it looked just like a burning plane. And it freaked us out. As you can see, we didn't get the footage, but the security camera system did. I'm very thankful for that, but I thought this should be posted. This is wild. And when I started seeing the videos come in of what it actually was, it's actually more disturbing to me. Like, what? I thought they tracked when these satellites come down into orbit. And this thing was just racing across the sky. We looked at it for a full 10, 15 seconds. It was incredible. So that video was the one I wanted to explain. And then I'm going to bring up the drone video, which we're going to be bringing up here in just a second, and we're going to have our special guest on. So I'm going to go ahead and hook that up right now. And we're going to go through this. So there we go.
Hello?
Hey, Matt, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear.
Good. Thank you, man. Welcome to Small 10 Underground. I appreciate you coming on the show with me tonight. A lot of people have reached out to me about doing a sort of a video breakdown, and so that's what we're fixing to dive into. So first off,
All right.
I'm going to pull up the video footage here, and I'm going to start playing it, and I want you to kind of set up the evening for us. All right, like what you were doing and how this got to me. Okay.
Well, so it started. We me and my family went to go eat, and are we doing like geographical kind of like? Are we allowed to talk about like the area?
Okay,
Or
we're
do
in
you,
Northwest Georgia, around this area,
yeah.
so absolutely.
All right. So we were leaving Fordo, heading towards Rock Springs. On we were in Chickamauga, traveling on 27, and from Chickamauga, the first thing we saw was a glowing orb, and it was just like pulsating and flying towards Rock Spring. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, that's just abnormal. That you don't see anything glowing. I mean, especially aircraft, it's usually blinking lights or whatever, really high up, you can't really tell. But this orb was massive, and the closer we got to Rock Springs, the clearer it was. So eventually, I just pulled over at a gas station and filmed it. And I can send you the video of what I have of this. But as I started filming it, it went from a glowing orb to two blinking lights and just stopped, turned around, and flew the opposite direction of me. So say if I was traveling west, it started going east, and we just lost it. We don't know where it went. So from there, we went and stopped by a grocery store off of 27, and I was just sitting there looking at the sky, and all of a sudden there's just tons of just blinking lights just flying up to one each other, and then just traveling like twos and threes, or just flying really close by each other. And I looked at my wife and I was like, what's going on here? This is just abnormal, especially with like airplanes and stuff. Usually really high up, stay away from each other. There's usually flight patterns, if like they're getting ready to come to an airport, it's just the way these were operating, it was just very abnormal. And especially like the altitude they were at, and you could just sit there and from any direction, they'd just start popping up. And so that's when we contacted you, and we knew you did the show and everything. We're like, hey, do you mind coming over and just taking a look at what we're seeing right now?
Right.
And that's when you arrived, and we just started picking these things out. And
Yes.
like it's just like how quickly they were traveling or turning and stopping. There was no sound. I mean, anybody can go outside and look up, and if you see an airplane, you can usually hear like the rumble or the roar. If it's, like the drones anybody can go by usually has 4 props on it or blades, and it's just a very high-pitched sound. These had absolutely nothing. You couldn't hear them. You could just sit there and look at them and just watch them travel. It was just very abnormal.
Yes.
And
Okay.
that's when you started videoing.
Right. So here's where I'm going to interject. So I get off of work. I'm coming home, minding my own business. I am getting the dog, taking him outside, just chilling. And Matt, we know each other. We've known each other for a long time. Our family's known each other. So it's not, you're not a stranger. We're friends.
Right.
Our children are growing up together. These kinds of things. And so I got a phone, or actually a text from your wife of the video of the orb. And so I started getting a little fascinated. I said, wow, okay. Because you're not the first person that has reached out to me about these phenomenon going on in this area. So once I saw that and contacted her, I got in touch with the both of you guys, and the story that you told me was exactly the way it happened. And as I'm going through my house, I'm expecting there to be able to drive to where you're at and see like some of these videos that we've been seeing from New Jersey, where you're seeing these drones just like flying right out in the sky right there, easily detectable, easily to see. And I'm standing on my front porch, and as you tell me, you're like, you can see them from this place. And I said, okay, because I'm looking up at the sky, I don't see anything. And I get in my truck and I go to where you're at, and that's where I start to see. And at first, I'm not seeing anything going on. I'm looking around in the sky, trying to find what you're telling me. And then it wasn't until that moment you started pointing out every single one of these at the same time in the sky. There's absolutely no way that all of these things can be flying. They're all flying in the same direction. They're kind of zigzagging in the sky, flying toward due west. I never had to stop and turn around. They were all flying due west in every one of these videos. And every time that I would hit record and record one, another one would be coming. And
And
so
just out of nowhere, it would just pop up and then just zip on right by.
right. And at first glance, you would think it looks kind of like a plane. It's got the red lights, the white lights blinking. I have been looking up in the sky ever since this night, and I can easily spot a plane. In fact, I have recorded 2 or 3 of them just to make sure that I'm not crazy. And
Right.
you can easily tell if it's a plane flying in the sky. These were not planes that were flying in the sky.
No.
The,
No.
the craziest thing to me would be how fast they were sort of gliding across the sky with absolutely zero sound, and the fact they're all going kind of due west, and every single one of these things had the same blinking patterns, which were not normal
The
plane
same.
patterns.
Yes.
So,
Right.
and then the moment that, and I'll have to be honest, like when I first started filming these, I was very skeptical until I saw that, if you remember, there's 2 particular drones flying kind of diagonal to each other. And when they both are blinking red, but they both turn at the exact same time and their light patterns change, that's when I knew that we were dealing with something that is not an airplane, not anything normal. So
Yeah.
this was
Yeah,
wild. They were
I mean,
all over the sky.
Yeah, they were just everywhere. I mean, it just, you look in one direction, you started filming one, 2 more pop up to your right, they start flying same direction, group up, whatever, and just get gone. It was just mind-boggling.
Right. I'm trying to see here. It looks like well, I don't know. I don't think the video froze up. Maybe it didn't. But it's hard to see anyway. And of course, I'm going to post links to the video. It's gotten quite a bit of traction. And I'm going to, again, be honest. I've not reached out to anybody or tried to push this video or claim that it's something that it's not, or I've not done anything but post this for the people to decide. So this is not some sort of we're not trying to get famous off of this.
Right. We're not trying to force the believe or whatever. It's just, this is what we saw. You interpret it as you want.
Yes, and we're getting to the part of the video now where you can clearly see. Now, this is the other thing that really got to me, was the plane that was in the sky as these, we're calling them drones. We don't know for sure, but they're flying through the sky.
Right.
And all of a sudden, at a lower altitude, clearly, you can see that there's a plane flying below these drones. And then once it gets close enough, you can actually hear the engine. It does not sound like a Bush plane or a Cessna plane. It sounds like a very deep hum plane, like much more expensive than what would be at your local airport. And it is flying the same type of speed as a plane would be flying, the same sort of altitude, while these other things were just gliding across the sky, right? And so my hypothesis could have been, what if this was some sort of frequency plane, or somebody was operating these, or obviously they were all flying in the same direction right over us, and it was blatantly obvious when once you could see this, you can't unsee
You
it.
just compare it to in the same video. I mean, it's kind of hard to deny at that point.
Yes, it was. I did not want to see this kind of stuff. I wasn't looking for it, but once you saw this, it was absolutely impossible to see. And so I would like to ask you a couple questions. So you have some background in some of this stuff, correct?
Right. Yeah, I was going to bring it up. Yeah, so I was in the Navy. My MOS, or job, if you don't know what MOS is avionics technician. So that means I worked on the F-18 Hornets and Super Hornets in the Navy, and I've specifically worked on the radar, the jammers, the weapon systems, communications, the heads-up display, anything that kind of just was computerized or some sort of system like that. Yeah, I've worked on that, and that's all I did, was just around aircraft for my time in service. Just to like, even like, say like I'm on base or whatever, we're doing flight schedules. Your aircraft. I know jets are going to be significantly louder than like a regular airplane, but still they're going to have sound. They're going to enter a flight pattern. you're going to be able to notice them from far out. Especially like with aircraft, like one of the things to do, when the jet landed, check brakes and stuff, they had indicators on them that you could just immediately tell, oh, that's my jet right there. And I mean, these operated nothing like an airplane.
Right. Absolutely. And where I live, the flight patterns are very easy to detect, and obviously they're all directional. You can tell where they're coming from the south, where they're coming from the north, how they curve to land at an airport. We also know that there's military maneuvers that happen just over the ridge out of Atlanta. I used to study these things quite a bit. I have the flight tracker radar. So we're not strangers to our skies, right?
Right. And I mean, there's the Air Force Base right over Mont Eagle and Tullahoma.
Yes.
So I mean, we have bases around us.
That's right. That's right. And obviously these, whatever they were flying just due west over us, heading somewhere. And it was a very, very like unnerving yet sort of amazing sight to see, because I've just never seen anything like it before. Now, obviously, I'm sure that you there's probably, I mean, we know the military uses drone programs. We know about Palantir, the artificial intelligence. I mean, and we'll get to the Sean Ryan stuff in a little bit.
Right.
But so obviously we know that there's drone technology out there that is not available to the common hobbyist or people that have it. Would you say how would you say that these are not some sort of hobbyist, right? What's your take on that?
I mean, the altitude they're at, the time of day, plus the distance traveled in video.
Right.
So I mean, like I don't know like the exact parameters. Like a hobbyist drone can fly, but just how high up it went, coordinated with other drones, flew in certain directions. You're not going to have that many people in our area that's into drones doing that. And I mean, if they are, then I'm very surprised.
Right.
Especially where we live at.
And not to mention, we joke, a lot of people in the South joke about, if those drones, like the videos we saw from New Jersey were that low, we'd be shooting at them. Well, these things were not in a range to be shot at. That's for dang sure.
No.
There's no way unless you had a very high-powered sniper rifle. You would still probably, these things were going so fast, I mean, you couldn't, it was obvious.
Yeah.
Obvious, so.
And I mean, and like you speak with military and drones, I mean, my last year in the military, I know they were offering a program to certain Navy MOSs, if you applied, that you could be a drone pilot. But still, I think that sort of program is more so like just like recon drones out in the Middle East or something along the lines of that. Nothing that this has been showing up.
Right. Now, I didn't feel any kind of presence of, I mean, obviously these things were blinking these weird lights, and all of them had the same light pattern. So obviously they did, whoever was flying these things, they were flying them with the lights on, so anybody could have seen them. It's not like they were covertly flying them, right? Which leads me to believe they wanted to be seen. Also, I went back on the flight radar tracker, didn't see anything of the sort happening during that time. I didn't even see the plane
like
that flew
30
through.
aircraft flying in the same space.
Exactly. And it's hard to even tell on the video, but the amount of air traffic going on during this whole interval was insane. Never seen anything like it before. There's no way that it could have been something that wasn't directed, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you've seen some more, right?
Right. So this one, so we had one more incident since then, and this one was more of an up close and personal, I'd say. So this happened on January 1st, which is, kind of funny, the happening of the two bombs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But so on January 1st, we were traveling kind of same direction as the first time. We were leaving Fordo. We're going through actually the Battlefield Park. If nobody knows what that is, it's where like the Civil War and stuff happened. It's just this huge like museum, kind of like tourist area. It's a one-lane road through there, each direction. And we were traveling west. And it was between like 7 and 8 o'clock at night. It was dark. About maybe not even a mile ahead of us. It was very less than a mile. There was, I'm going to say a drone because I got to see this one more up close. I can almost certain tell you this was a drone. So it was traveling north as we were traveling west. And the closer we got to it, the bigger it got. And right before we got, maybe like 5 seconds right before we got right beside it, it stopped and turned and started traveling east as we're traveling west. So it drove right past us, right above the tree line. It had the same blinking pattern. I wish I could give you like a good scale for size, but I know it was definitely bigger than an ATV.
Okay.
And it had a spotlight on. This thing was massive. And so it was me and my wife in our car and our friends behind us in their car. And immediately, as soon as I started seeing this thing, I was trying to get my phone out of my pocket. I was trying to call them to see if they could see it because I didn't want to be the only person to see this thing.
Right.
I wanted witnesses. I wanted, just somebody to get a picture. So the first pull-off spot in the battlefield that I could get to, I pulled off, hopped out of my vehicle, and my buddy hopped out of his. He was like, "Dude, did you see that?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And he goes, "That was 100% a drone." He goes, he kind of was skeptical about all of it because I've been telling him what we saw.
Right.
And he was kind of skeptical, but he goes, "Dude, my mind is blown." He goes, "What's and hop back in the vehicles, turn around and try to go follow this thing or find it, get a picture." And that was like pulling off, talking to him was maybe a minute. We get back in our vehicles, turn around and start heading back east to travel the way the drone was going, and it was gone.
Wow.
We drove all the way down the battlefield. It was gone. Couldn't find it. It wasn't in the air. I don't know where this thing went. I would love to call, and if I can get a hold of like the park rangers or something, and just be like, just to confirm that it wasn't them, because I know some park rangers maybe have drones like, check on wildlife or, stuff like that, to survey the woods.
Right.
But it was just it looked like, if you go look up the New Jersey videos and the videos that they have, it almost looked exactly what's in those videos. Just a massive aircraft, blinking lights. It's nothing to this world. It was very strange.
That is wild, man. That is wild. And I even asked you the other day, I know that a lot of times the military will run like C-130 drills kind of close to the ground and things like that, but you're sure that this was something that just was on its own, right?
It was on its own. It's nothing that I've seen. I've been around a lot of aircraft. I've been on an aircraft carrier. We have several different types of aircraft on an aircraft carrier. This was nothing that I've ever seen. It was completely to its own, different, and just massive. It was, I want to give you, I know the ones in the videos in New Jersey are like, "Oh, it's the size of a car," it was bigger than an ATV, 100% bigger than an ATV.
Right. Gotcha.
And then, when I arrived home that night, my buddy actually ended up texting me and said, "Hey, someone in my hunting group in Villanelle, Georgia just posted this. That guy on Facebook posted, did anybody see the massive drone flying over Villanelle, Georgia the same night?" And that happened maybe 30 minutes after we saw what we saw. So something was definitely going on. And I don't know. I wish I could have got a picture of that. I just could not get my phone out quick enough.
Right. Understood. And again, we're using the terminology drone not because we're trying to convince anybody that that's what it is. We don't know what this is, but I can tell you
the closest thing to compare it to.
Exactly. The word drone first comes to mind because obviously this wasn't something from outer space. This wasn't an alien.
No, I don't think any of this is it. I think this is either U.S. or somebody's technology.
Exactly, somebody's technology. That's exactly what it felt like to me. The feeling that you get when you're witnessing something like this. Obviously, the first thing I think of is this is our military. This is something that has to do with our military that's moving these things around. And again, it was perplexing to see what kind of altitude they were at, the speed they were moving, because they were nowhere close enough where you could shoot at them or anything like that. So
no.
It was just
the
wild.
one I saw on January 1st was no more than, it was just above the tree lines, maybe 30 foot, 40 foot at max. And we got to see the full shape. It was dark, but it had the lights on every corner. It had, a spotlight on the front, which that kind of leaned me towards the park rangers, but still, if it was looking for something, it's going to have some type of light looking.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I got to see this one up close and personal, and then that just confirmed in my head that it's technology. It's somebody's technology.
Yep. And I'm telling you, I've had people reach out to me from Thanksgiving on about strange phenomena in the skies, large light flashings that have been happening that their whole entire families have been witnessing. And they've contacted me because of the show. And I've even tried to go back and look up some of these things. And never in my wildest dreams did I imagine I would be on the air tonight talking about what we saw back on the 21st. It's absolutely incredible. So I want to move this segment into, here's where the plot thickens and everything gets a little crazy. So
Yeah.
within the last 24 hours or so, everybody, if you haven't heard about this yet, you're living under a rock. But the Sean Ryan video that has surfaced where an intelligence official had been reached out to by the suspect in the Las Vegas bombing, and a manifesto was sent to him, which they contacted authorities, the FBI, the military's reached out. As far as I went in my reporting, the FBI has pretty much confirmed that this manifesto came from where it says it came from, and lo and behold, it did not talk about drone technology and drone warfare going on, which is the strangest thing that you could possibly tie into this. So I wanted to cover just a bit about this because we have a couple things to talk about before we go. It says this was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across than a stunt with fireworks and explosives? He wrote in one letter found by authorities that was released Friday. So I have not read that letter yet. But the manifesto, and I was trying to pull this up before the show, was largely talking about drone technology using a term called gravidity, and how the Chinese and the U.S. have been able to use anti-gravity or discover anti-gravity and use it with these drones, which could explain a little bit of the phenomena that we saw. Now, at this moment, I'm not saying that anything in this manifesto is real or valid. We have no idea, but it also leaves an open door to a conspiracy theory that this could just be all a nice pretty tie-in to something larger that they're trying to cover up, if to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get your take on the Sean Ryan. We talked about this. I sent you the video, and so what's your take on all this?
All right. So, I mean, I took a couple notes. I watched the entire hour video, and there was just several things that popped in my head. One thing, like the biggest thing I want to hit on is like a timeline that went through my head. So, and this is just kind of like a conspiracy theory thing, but I just wanted to, I'm trying to connect the dots with all this stuff going on. So, when Trump was last in office, he created the Space Force, and I believe it's just they took the Air Force, took the space stuff out of the Air Force, made its own branch.
Right.
Which is kind of weird to me. You just don't make a military branch out of thin air when everything's kind of operating smoothly as it is right now.
Yes.
So that was strange to me. And then since he did that, we've had 2 hearings at, I believe, the Pentagon level or congressional level of UFOs and UAPs or something going on. So the first hearing, they brought up they showed footage of what it was. So I don't know if you know what FLIR pod is, but on jets, the FLIR pod is essentially like your camera, or like when they go to lock onto targets or looking at the ground, looking at their enemies, they're using a FLIR pod. It's infrared forward-looking pod.
Okay.
And so they released FLIR pod footage of these UAPs and just them flying around, stopping, then just going a different direction, hitting like Mach 2, 3, 4, whatever, just flying, and the pilots were just blown away by it. Second hearing, they bring up the same stuff as the first one. Second time comes up, and I believe this one was last year in 2024. They start talking about Tic Tacs. They start talking about they called them aliens, but these UAPs coming out of the water.
Yes, yes, from submarines.
Yes, submarine. They just start talking about that, and then the footage again, and then now we're having drones coming out of the water. We're having, or that's what they're reporting. They're saying, that this manifesto is saying the drones coming out of the water. They're Chinese.
Like a show
and
of
then,
force.
Trump's going, yeah, like a show of force. And it's just like, to me, it's like kind of lining up as a timeline. Everything's kind of connecting. So that just all connected in my head. And then if you think about the military, a lot of people, there's two sides of the military. The side that everybody sees, the side where, we have this aircraft, you have the F-18s, F-35s, which is the new aircraft coming out, which the majority of commands have now is F-35. That's what they show on TV, news media shows it. And then you have the other side of the military, which is like special warfare. And this is like the technology that nobody knows about, none of the casual military knows. So that's another thing I want to hit on. So if you see it on TV or whatever, that's old technology. They're way past that.
Right.
So when I was we had the F-18s, Super Hornets, and that's one of the oldest combat aircraft that we have. And we were transferring to the F-35s. So to me, that means F-35s are old technology, and Lockheed Martin or Boeing or whoever is making new stuff. The new stuff is out, and this is what it looks like to me is what these are, is new technology. And it just happened. The Chinese have showed it first, and then now I feel like we're counteracting and trying to take theirs out or show ours.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about this. Well, go ahead. Keep going.
No, yeah, you go. You go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking about part of this manifesto, right? We're taking this on a dime, on the ear. We have no idea.
Right.
But just based on this information that's coming out, going back to our sighting, I did not ever get a feeling that this was some other military or some other country. Possibly, I'm sure that up in New Jersey along the East Coast type stuff, if any of this were valid, that very well could be, especially when you have a government where these things are being flown around airports and blocking air traffic, flowing around military bases, and the government is hush-hush, not doing anything about it. Obviously, that could be something along the lines of this manifesto, but what I feel like we saw was some sort of military maneuver. They were moving to somewhere, they were coming from somewhere, and they were going from somewhere. And obviously they weren't hiding the fact that they were there, but this wasn't a registered flight log. So anyway, go ahead.
So the next thing I want to talk about. So this the Matt guy, the whole Cybertruck thing, the bomb and all that. So he had his own, he sent out this manifesto. He talks about, hey, this is going to happen on January 1st, December 31st. You can't release anything until after then. So there's a podcast or another military member. His name's Bo Berdahl, and I hope I said that right.
Yes, you did. Bo Berdahl, yes.
Yeah, have you watched this? So
I have not watched this, but I'm familiar with Bo.
So how I want to tie this in is, so this Matt guy wanted to get attention to somebody. He wanted to get attention. He wanted to whistleblow. He had to get his information out there. You just can't do that in the military. You just can't go to your chain of command and be like, hey, this is what I want to, tell. It will never go in. And the information will stop dead right there. It won't go anywhere. So same instance, Bo, when he was overseas and stationed, he wanted to essentially kind of like whistleblow that his station was terrible conditions, yada, yada, yada. And in his head, he was going to go AWOL.
Oh, yes.
Which means you leave your command and you go missing. So he went AWOL and just happened, just by chance, get captured by the Taliban. And he was held for, I think, 3-4 years. And he's the longest POW alive today, prisoner of war. And we eventually get him back. I think it was in 2014. We traded some Taliban for him back. But it took all of that for Bo's information of his command to get shown to the public.
Right.
And so for this guy in the Cybertruck, it just makes sense to why he had to go to the extremes to get this information out, or it had to be some importance because he knew it would not go anywhere.
Well, sure.
And
I can see that point of view. Yeah.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought of, like this act that he did or whatever. Instantly thought of Bo Bardog and what he did just to get information out there.
Right.
So it kind of just clicked in my head about that.
Sure. I mean, what we knew about this guy, he was active military, special forces. He was on a leave when this happened. There's a lot of rumors and speculation about his family life. There's also the speculation that the DNA that was recovered from the vehicle, from the charred body, was not the same DNA as his one of his family members, right? So
right. I believe it was his kid.
Yes, and that is still unconfirmed at this time. I don't know if that's 100% factual, but that would lead to believe a different scenario about this situation, right? That he might possibly be alive, on the run, and this whole thing could be valid. We just don't know. So, and
geographically, with like what he reported to the show and everything, it kind of just lines up. I mean, he wanted with the email he sent to Joe Rogan, he wanted to meet in Flagstaff.
Right.
Well, excuse me. He wanted to meet in Flagstaff, and then Arizona, and the other email he sent out to the Ryan show. All this happened and took place, and he blew up the Cybertruck in front of Trump Towers in Vegas, and that's all right above Mexico. So I mean, geographically, it just lines up perfectly. If he's running from the FBI, which he talks about, and he's being followed, I mean, it just makes sense that as soon as this happens, he just heads dead south.
Right. We have this scenario, and what we're stating is all facts of what we've been told. And this also could be a complete crazy psyop. We don't know at the moment, but it's important enough, I think, to just get it in your forefront, as people are seeing this kind of stuff in the skies. It's not hyperbole. I've not met one person. I've not talked to one person who has questioned the validity of the videos at all, and they want to know first thing, well, what do you think it is? I don't know what to tell you folks out there.
It's hard to tell.
But I wanted to, every bit of the footage was unedited, and I wanted to document it as in entirety, because so many times we get these videos just snippets, short seconds of things, and I'm like, look, you watch the 9 minutes and you tell me if what we're seeing is just an airplane. And I've not heard one person that said, I don't know what it is, but it wasn't an airplane. And I think we've established that here. So it's crazy. Every single day we're finding out new information. We started this new year off with 2 attacks. And now this one is taking a completely wild twist, and it's tying right back into drones. So, well, I don't know what to make of it, Matt.
I don't know. I think we're going to find out more in 2025. I feel this is like it's sort of like, if this information that he is provided is true and is Chinese and U.S. tech, I feel like this is just a show of force, like you said right now. I mean, that's all the military is a show of force. I mean, when we go out to sea in the Navy, I mean, we take a whole strike group with us, which means it's several different ships, there's submarines, there's all this. We go out, we travel, and, well, like we're at war right now or whatever, but we go out every so many months just to show force, just to show presence.
Right. 100%.
And I feel like that's kind of what this is leading towards.
A lot of times my mind wants to scream false flag, psyop, and I think about last year in 2024 when our government and our military let a Chinese spy balloon fly over our nation for 6 days, and it happened to be spotted by just a civilian before they even tried to shoot this down, before they tried to even make up excuses about it. That actually happened. And now we've seen a month or more of drone activity and people freaking out, and the government's just, they just want to shut up and leave them alone and not say anything. And then what do we have here? Okay, psyop. But at the same time, where are people going now to get media out? You said it yourself. You cannot go up to the chain of command. Whistleblowing does not work, especially in the military. You're not going to go to the straight to the government or straight to Fox News or CNN or anybody like that. You're going to the people who are out here trying to show the truth, be the truth. And it makes perfect sense for him to be trying to reach out, and they clearly show how many people this guy was trying to reach out to. And Lord, none of us are condoning these actions. These are terrible actions, and thank God nobody got killed in this. But we now don't even know whether the body that was inside this Tesla was his body. I mean, everybody knows that you can self-drive Teslas. You can. I watched it with my own eyes at a local hardware store. A man who his Tesla pulls out of a parking space and whips right around and comes and picks him up at the front door. These Teslas can be self-driven like this. They can be given destinations to show up at. So wild stuff, Matt. Wild stuff.
It's a very weird beginning of the year.
It really is. It really is. So would you like to stay on with me for comments? We got some good ones tonight.
Yeah. I'll stay on.
All right, guys. We're going to go to the comments portion, and then I'm going to give Matt the final word before we get off of here. So Jamie Holstey's on with us tonight. Thank you, Jamie, for being with us. I love you, brother. I talked to Jamie a little bit about this, and Lisa Adams, my homegirl from Whitfield, thank you for being here. Anthony Smatterchew, president accounted for. I can't wait for our upcoming show, which you don't know about yet, what we're going to be doing. Jamie says, okay, good. Ray Blankenship, wonderful to have you, sir. He says, anti-gravity drones were all sci-fi, but now it looks like it's not a joke. Invisible bombs and Iranian bombs coming over the border is just crazy. Absolutely. I know Ray's referring to, there's yet another report out in the media about some Iranian bombs that were able to be smuggled in across the border, what they're calling invisible bombs. You can't make this stuff up, you know. Obviously, some of this drone activity, the government tried to say that, well, I'm not saying the government said it, but the rumor was that they were sniffing for possible dirty bombs, nuclear material that was smuggled in. That's not a far stretch of the imagination, considering the border situation we've had ongoing. It's still to this day.
So, and that could be why Trump was heavily hitting on, like, hey, we need to reinforce our border.
That's right. Any number of these things. We have no idea what's been coming across that border, but we get the news reports. Invisible bombs, Iranian bombs. We know terror cells are out there, correct? It's absolutely crazy. So Sharon Holland, good to see you tonight, Sharon. Thank you. Alex Sharp, thank you for being with us tonight. Michael Anthony, I was gonna tag Michael Anthony. He runs a great show up in Pennsylvania, and he covers all kinds of stuff like this. So he says, keep looking up. I've tried to tell everybody, brother, we're seeing some strange stuff down here in the South, man. Stuff I never thought I'd be reporting on. Let's see.
Yeah. I don't think a million years, even if I have to be in the military, that I'd have see this stuff.
There you go. I have a person who has firsthand knowledge of this stuff on the show tonight, guys. So, and any questions you got, feel free to ask them now. Michael says they keep 2 sets of records for everything. The one they will show and tell you, and the ones that they will keep for testing purposes and more. Absolutely correct.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, I don't subscribe. I didn't pay for the service, but the Flight Radar 24 is a really cool app. It shows you flights in your area and all this stuff. I went back on this, contacted a friend, couldn't find any of this stuff on there. It was way too overwhelming in the sky. Something should have been, logged on there, but it wasn't. So,
right.
Okay, let's see. Michael says our technology can track all nuts and bolts. Yeah, right.
Yes.
And Jamie says, wife and I saw a few of these coming home from Trenton, Georgia, sporadic movements. So,
I mean, that's right over the mountain.
Absolutely. Make no mistake. And guess what? That's west of us. I mean, it's literally like they're flying east to west. I don't know. And Michael says they're being seen worldwide, kind of fits a new world something, right? Absolutely. I think we've been watching drone warfare now play out for over 2 years in Ukraine and Russia war. We know that Iran is using drones. We have been told that the drones are now to the military what the Huey was to Vietnam, what the tank was to World War II. So
Exactly.
that's the wave of the future. It's drone warfare.
Here's a good thing to look up. If you want to see how good Chinese technology is, you go look up a Chinese fireworks show. It's all drones, and it's crazy to watch these drones move in such, just no crashes, no problems. And I mean, that's just how good their technology is. So it would make sense if they've got something better than what they're showing.
Absolutely correct. Yes. And Joe Johnson, good to have you with us, sir, this evening. It says somebody said Chinese submarine stealth drones according with the Chinese balloon trajectory. So that's exactly what the manifesto was pointing to they read last night. He brought up the balloons and said that any time of the day there's 5 balloons up in the sky. And obviously, and like I said, if you watch the video, there was a plane very clearly flying the same direction as these so-called drones, and I couldn't help but feel that they were tied to this in some way, tethered to it. Mm-hmm. So, Lisa Adams says, I saw one at the Walker-Whitfield line on 201. So, people are seeing these everywhere. They're seeing them all over the place. They're posting them. I've been watching. I haven't seen anything up until the 21st. And like I said, well, I put my money where my mouth is. You tell me, folks, what we saw. So, Nikki Lee, absolutely fabulous to see you tonight. She says, these are U.S. drones. They meet all the federal requirements for flying, including red and green lights and many other things. I do not think aliens would meet the license requirements.
Yeah.
We aren't shooting them down because we are the owners of the drones. That's the comment of the night. I think Nikki hit it on the nail on the head.
And I mean, if you want to talk about red and green lights, I mean, the jets like that I worked on, the right side's green, left side's red. So I mean, it kind of matches military, lighting.
Sure, it matches. I've seen, how many red and white or lights that I've seen in the sky since this that I could clearly tell was a plane. These light patterns were completely different, and the speed of these things versus the altitude was completely different. So, let's see here. It says, Richard Schroeder, good to have you with us again tonight. Richard says, hello, friends, very interesting. It is interesting indeed. So, Ray Blankenship says, I think he had a cadaver in the driver's seat and plugged in the address of the target and remote detonated the bomb. I think he's still alive. He was trained by the best, so he isn't stupid.
Yeah, we talked about that on the phone earlier. I agree 100% with that. I think he's still alive.
Sure.
I think
if I had to base everything on just what information we have out there, right, and not go off into any kind of like conspiracy territories, but based on the information that is being put out, I would agree with that statement and say that this was some sort of attempt to get this information out. Whoever this man is still alive.
Yes.
Obviously, we'll know more, and I think we'll be smart enough to tell if this is some sort of false flag or a government cover-up versus a lone sort of lone dude trying to get this information out. So. Brady says also Fox isn't touching it either. Of course, the mainstream media is not going to touch it. I don't see them touching it. And Kim Smith, Kim's Coffee Top, wonderful to have you tonight, Kim. She says, any possible MK Ultra programming? So what is your take? Just military, are you familiar with MK Ultra, or have you heard of any kind of, the programming, or, we've all seen the movies, The Manchurian Candidate, The Terminal List. I mean, what's your take on MK Ultra?
I don't even know. I've never heard of that. Explain it to me, and I'll give you my 2 cents.
It's very hard to delve into, but it was government programs that was tried a lot on civilian and military, where they used like very strange programs. They mind control. They tried to create assassins using like LSD and other forms of chemicals and torture.
And this is like the telepathy stuff.
Yes, telepathy.
Yeah, okay, I kind of know what you're talking about.
Right.
I can 100% see the government having some type of sector or branch where they attempted this stuff. I mean, even if you look at boot camp, it's its own type of brainwashing. I mean, they take people from all over the United States, bring them to one area, and have to break them down and reprogram their brains to operate how they want to in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's exactly
I could 100% see where they've, just drugs, anything to just,
right.
program these
Yeah,
people.
the soldiers
to do
have
what
to
they
take all the
want.
vaccines. They have to take special vaccines and different,
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, the assembly line, man.
Well, I
The
mean,
assembly line. There's like 13 shots in each arm.
and I think Kim brings up a good point. So we're not getting official narratives, right? We're not getting any official statements coming out. So at any this is all theoretical. I mean, obviously, we would never be able to take that off the table, right? And then Hollywood, you said it yourself. You've seen it in a movie. I go back to The Terminalist. It's almost like the script of The Terminalist is playing out here, to be honest with you. I don't know if you've seen that show. It's on Netflix. But it's based on military and sort of MK Ultra, where they kill this person's platoon and they end up killing his family, and he's got to go on the kind of rampage and find out who did it, and it just uncovers all this stuff, and his mind was warped. It's incredible, and it's almost like watching a movie play out in real life. So absolutely. So Greasy Boots is with us. Thank you so much, man. It's good to see you. I hope you have a good Christmas, man. He says at this point, who really knows what's true and what's a psyop in 2025? It's impossible to know. Again,
Exactly.
You're 100% right. And that I want to reiterate, I don't think myself or Matt or anybody, even these videos, we're not trying to convince anybody of anything, but we're just reporting on what we've seen, and we can't validate any of this going on. But boy, is it just crazy. We have I truly don't think we know what is coming this year with all of this. It's going to be a wild year. So,
yeah.
All right, John.
Interpret as you want.
Yeah, right. John Milliken says, Honda, good to have you, John. Says, Honda is coming out with a $5,000 flying cars with a 250-mile range. This is a giant sales opportunity to get high interest if they are four-seaters and have cargo space, so size would fit the drones. Well, sure, and we need to look into this gravidity. It's a kind of a new term.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I mean, obviously in movies you hear anti-gravity, but
right. But this gravidity is a term called gravidity. So obviously there's probably something there that we could dig into deeper, for sure. So Nikki Lee says this is some a New World Order scheme. They want to make Americans doubt our highest trained military and somehow think they are mentally ill and willing to suicide bomb Americans so we will accept NATO troops on U.S. ground. Man, that's a good point. That's a really good point. This is where I'm talking about, if all this could be too good to be true and this could be just another psyop pulling us all in to some sort of nefarious, UN plot to put boots on the ground. I'm not scared. Are you scared by any of this?
No. I mean, if it was more of like a war threat or anything, I feel like our government or somebody would at least, say something, or you could look up and tell their objective of what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. And Nikki has got such a good point, because this is what we're focused on tonight. I could go in a completely different direction because I feel a lot of the ways that she feels. I don't trust the government. I don't trust what's going on, especially with this new administration coming in. This could be anything. This could be the best plot they've ever come up with to make us believe that this guy is really out there, wanting to expose some things. And so who knows? But again, that's just one of the many possibilities from this. But I'm glad you brought up that point, Nikki, because I'm feeling that. So Richard says, strange things are happening. Red buttons. Go ahead, Google it. I will Google that, Richard. Michael Proctor says, do y'all ever watch Monkey Works? Lots of information. I do. It's a YouTube channel. I actually am subscribed to it. I haven't watched anything in a while, but there is a ton of information out there. Good people doing good stuff. Kim's Coffee Talk says mind control. I'm telling you, and they're getting us hook, line, and sinker. Here we are talking about it, right? Ray says, it's been said that the CIA had control of a lot of those programs. 100%. And for all those attending the conference inauguration, watch the skies. That's a good point. Real quick.
Yeah.
Here we have January 20th coming up, and all of this drone activity flying all over the place. We've Texas, you name it, Washington, New York. Yeah, people ought to really be careful at the inauguration in D.C., even given what the manifesto said about that, right? I mean,
It's kind of, it makes you think if this is still going on with heavy activity during that day, if they don't, I don't know, have like special precautions, maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
I don't either. Obviously, they weren't concerned about it to talk to the American people about drones while this was going on. Now it's just kind of whisked away, and now it's of course being brought back up with this attack. But who knows?
Yes.
I mean, I think we should be vigilant everywhere we go. We should second guess every time that we want to go somewhere, especially in the crowds of people, because everybody's a sitting target, in this current state. So we just have to be ready for anything at all times. Let's see. Yeah, Kim said not scared. I ain't scared either. I ain't a bit scared. They can't do nothing to me. I'm not worried about it. And she says it's all about the chaos. Look at the chaos that this is creating. And this is yet another story that's going to fuel the media into a frenzy over this and add 20 more questions for our minds to think about. I've been thinking about Sean Ryan all day. Matt and me have been talking to several people. It's all over the place, and they've got our attention right now on this, right? So what better ways to keep our minds preoccupied, right? Ray says, I'm still not ruling out a nuclear attack. I don't blame you, Ray. I'm not ruling anything out at this point, brother. Nikki Lee says, the U.S. government is not going to acknowledge acts of terrorism. The chief duty of government is to prevent mass panic, suicide bombs, or terrorists would 100% cause hysteria. Very, very valid point.
That's true. I mean, they don't want everybody freaking out.
Yes, they don't. Absolutely. Greasy Boot says the simulation theory used to seem pretty out there. Now I'm not so sure. Hey, man. Yeah, the Alex Jones's right jar just keeps filling up. So Ray says these drones, if they are playing on an anti-gravity level, will be able to carry a heavy payload. Absolutely.
Oh, easily. I think there's you could probably look this up, fact check me. I'm almost certain there's a guy out west in Texas, and he runs a drone service, but his drone goes and recovers, like if you shoot a deer and you don't know where it went, you can't follow the trail, he will go out there and recover it for you.
Wow.
And there's definitely drones able to carry a warhead or something easily.
Oh, look! I mean, what we saw in Ukraine was just a small drones dropping grenades and small bombs. But there's much bigger stuff out there that is capable of all kinds of stuff. I mean, they've had so, Lord only knows what they have for sure. Let's see. This says the drones. Let's see. Okay, Kim says election to be certified Monday, 1/6. Pray without ceasing. Absolutely, we'll be watching that very closely. Kim might even do a special on it. I don't know, but Greasy Boot says we're definitely living on a globe. That one I'm sure of. I'm also confident we landed on the moon. So I hear you, man. I hear you. I used to be really confident about the moon, and I keep watching stuff, but hey, for now I'm gonna leave that one alone. And Kim says, "Yeah, we drone enthusiasts are all out flying." Exactly. So, wow, great comments tonight, Matt. I always like to end the show with my guest with the final word, and before I give it to you, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and the bravery that you are to come on the show tonight outside this comfort zone and help me explain this, because I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and you did a great job, and you have a lot of knowledge in this stuff, and I just appreciate you. But you just I'm gonna give you the final word.
Yeah, sure. I would say, interpret all this as you want. Also do like your own research. Go out there and you do your own taping. Look up in the skies. Videotape everything, because what's going on right now, a lot of people will not believe you. So the more proof you have, the better. So I say you get out there and start looking up at the skies and start recording these strange things.
Yeah. you made a believer out of me, man. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All
Thank
right.
you
Well, thanks for coming
for
on the
having
show,
me.
man. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. I appreciate everybody bearing with me yet again for this Saturday night. Again, love you all. You take this as a grain of salt. We are in crazy, crazy territory. All of these things connecting in weird ways, and we're going to have to just be vigilant, use discernment and all this information and not get too caught up in this. And we definitely ain't scared. We ain't shutting up, and ain't nobody coming around here that's going to threaten us with anything. We're going to keep this ball rolling. We are watching yet again the one world government system encroaching as we, the people, stand up as America first and say, not today. There's a lot of things at play, and there's a lot of ways they want to take your mind off of what's real and what we need to be focused on, and keep us in these paradigms of craziness. So I lay this to rest. I hope everybody got something out of it, and all the people that reached out to me. I hope we explained it well, and we're going to continue to move on. But what a wild ride we are on. I'm telling you. I always hear it's what a time to be alive, and I guess that's true. And truth be told, I would love to stick my head down in the sand and pretend like none of this happened and we're just hunky dory. But unfortunately, our eyes are wide open, and we're just watching this thing unfold. So peace, love. I pray for you. You guys pray for me. And we're going to keep this ball rolling. Got the inauguration coming. Got the certification coming. We got Atlanta coming. Yes, Richard, we're going to meet in that Liberty Square. And I hope to see all of you soon. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. And I'll talk to you later.
Legislature legalized unverifiable voting in 2000.
Like you said to Trump, but they're getting beauty.
They said, go out there and rob these houses and bring back the bounty, and then that'll pay your way.
Because Republicans who get endorsement from the libertarians that they mean anything.
You can't sit on the sidelines any longer. You must get involved in the game. This is your sign.